Hey, good morning. Today, I was planning on talking about the North. The North is going to be the mental knowledge, experience, emotions, and understanding. You put all those together, and it creates your brain, everything that kind of shapes who we are as individuals. Um, an individual inside of a societal view. Because in the family, there's two types. You have the ones that you choose and the ones that you don't. Like children, for example, those are chosen family. They're the ones that do those things. Or we chose those kids. So those, back to the individual, the mental knowledge, experience, emotions, and understanding. When we put all of that together and we proceed forward in life, we get to have an opportunity to delve deep within our own psyche, our own brains, our own experiences, the knowledge that we carry, the emotions that are attached to those experiences, even knowledge itself. It can generate a sense of emotion inside of ourselves. And so, with all of those put together, we get an opportunity to look at ourselves. We get an opportunity to dig. We get an opportunity to give that which we cannot carry on our own and place it in God's hands. God, myself. Bink. It's pretty simple.
Daddy, look.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to watch a movie? Okay. So, okay, we'll find something. So with all of those and those ideas, we get to let's delve a little deep into those ideas. Let's delve a little deep into what the mental side of this world kind of entails and what it brings into our lives and what we can do to overcome those things. Because, like experiences, for example, my experience in life was I did not grow up in a very stable household. I did not get the opportunity. I didn't get the opportunity to have those kinds of parents. They were not very nice to me. They didn't protect me. I was never safe. I've gotten the crap kicked out of me. I mean, you name it, all the stuff. I've had mental abuse. My mother would just tear me down. I'd make a mistake and I'd get tore down. My father, well, I really don't want to go into that one anymore because he's apologized for what he's done. So that one's kind of left alone now. And then I've had a neighbor sexually abuse me. And all those things put together, all of the stuff that has happened, there's an emotion that is attached to it. Anxiety, fear, anger, hatred, variance, separation from people, a lack of trust because of the experience. Those emotions can be overtaken. Something happens, somebody says something, and it triggers something inside of our minds. Something similar, something close to our hearts, something that we've held on to for a very long time that needs to be released. And I'll tell you a quick story here. I used to have a horse, Luna was her name. I hated this thing. She was a biter. She would wait to get you when you turn your back to her, and then she would always get you in your armpit. Just a turd of a horse. And when I would go out there to try to feed her, work with her, be a part of her, do those things to try to make her a horse, she didn't like me very much. And it was kind of odd because I'm a ball cap wearer. I wear baseball caps all the time. And she would not come up to me when I was wearing my ball cap. But the minute I took it off, she would walk in. She would come right up to me like it was no problem. Like we were best friends for a minute. But the minute I put my ball cap on, it was a no-go. So with that horse, that means that, yeah. So with that horse, that means that there was somebody that probably beat the crap out of her because she had a scar on her face with something. And that person probably wore a ball cap. And it triggered something in her. And as a horse, I mean, even horses, animals get triggered by things. And that animal wanted nothing to do with me when it came to when I was wearing a ball cap. And like I said, it was just kind of one of those things where she just wanted, it was odd, but not odd at the same time. I could understand. And it took a lot of years to and then I never really did gain her trust fully because, it was probably a man that wore a ball cap that beat her. And that's okay. It is what it is. She's long gone now. And so I don't have to really deal with it. But the point of the story is, once again, there was an experience that happened with her that created a sense of an emotion. And with myself, it gave understanding to that animal because, it is what it is. So we are not too far off, right? This right here is not too far off. In Job, it talks about look to the animals and they'll teach you. I learned a lot just from that horse, that short time that I knew this horse. And so it was kind of interesting because now I apply that to myself. Now we all have to apply this kind of thing with ourselves. This is part of the shadow. The experience that we have in our lifetime is part of our shadows because it creates emotions and the knowledge that we choose to gain within our lives. This is knowledge. This was a tool. This was teaching. This was a little bit of everything, as I said in a prior video. So this tool, even with tools, you have to be willing to learn what they're doing for us and how to use them. You can't just pick up a hammer and know how to use a hammer. In this day and age, people expect us just to know how to use a hammer. But if you don't know, you don't know. And so that's where leadership comes into play, and a person has to teach them. A parent, a grandfather, whatever, that person has to teach them. And so, and we're not going to just, once we learn how to pick up that hammer and start using it, we're not going to be proficient at it right off the bat. And that's also another form of experience. You want some more? Okay, come on. And, it's, everybody has probably heard this in this lifetime, is practice makes perfect. Well, I really, really don't like.
Daddy, a bowl.
You want a bowl? Here, come grab your cereal. Here, take this in. Here, take it. I really don't like the practice makes perfect kind of idea. That practice makes perfect, it drives me nuts because nobody's going to be perfect. That simple saying sets us up for failure. It's practice makes mastery. The more we do things, the better we become. And it goes like that in every aspect of our lives. Some of us are going to be more naturally better at the mental side of this world, and we can just overcome our experiences and all this stuff pretty easy, and same for this, and this. And so with the progression of our lives, we become better. And it's the same for knowledge. And as always, it's a positive and a negative. We're going to have positive knowledge, positive experiences, positive emotions, positive understanding. But we'll also have that negative as well. There's negative knowledge out there. I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen people teaching is just absolutely asinine. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, and it's not that I'm fearful of it. It's that I feel like it's just not a good knowledge or good teachings for people to have, and we shouldn't even be thinking about those certain things because it's dangerous. What do you need? Hey, share. Daisy, share. Thank you. Yeah, and so the progression of what I'm trying to teach here in this lifetime right now is to help make a better society. Is basically what I desire in this lifetime, is to help an individual inside of one collective. That one collective cannot exist without the individuals. It's a team effort. You know, you cannot have one without the other. And that's the problem. And that's part of these problems that we have. I mean, everything is compounded. Problems are everywhere right now. And nobody really knows how to fix this stuff. So we all have these ideas of what needs to be done. But the leadership is the ones that's failing. Because by making things more complicated, the harder it becomes. The more simplistic things are, the easier it is on the collective and the society, because now we don't have all this space that's taken up inside of our lives, you know, like our experiences, for example. And I know from my own experience in this lifetime is very simple. The bad things that have happened to me in my life and all the struggles, the everything. I was not born into an easy life. It took up a lot of space, right? But that was because I was born into something that wasn't a good childhood. It wasn't a good life to be raised in, and it is what it is. But here's the thing. It was taking up too much space in my brain, and my mental capacity was getting taken up by these things. So I had to learn to clear it. I had to simplify these things, understand what it was that was given to me and why I was born into this, extract the blessings, and then move forward. Because everything it's all about that. Bad things happen. What's the extraction of blessing? Because we as humans, as humanity, we tend to hold on and remember the bad things over the good things in our lives. It's just kind of how it works. Now, don't ignore the bad things, because if you ignore the bad things, now it becomes compounded. But we have to acknowledge the goodness as well as the bad. You know, the evil acts that people do on other people. To me, it's kind of crazy, because when a person does something wrong, which is fine, you know, the mistake, the wrongness, the wickedness, the negative act, the whatever. I mean, it happens. We all have these things. We've all done these things. We've all been there. And when we ignore those things within ourselves, they compound, because now you do it once, it becomes easier to do it again and again and again. And when we start doing these bad things and it becomes easier, now it's no longer a mistake. Now it's a habit. Now it's no longer a wicked act and a sin. It is now a part of who we are as an individual, you know. And then we try to justify our actions over and over and over again. You know, like the habitual cheater, for example. Those cheaters, you know, they do it once, they feel bad, but then you have to stop. But you've already crossed that line, that threshold. The second time you do it, it now becomes easier. And it's not that as big of a deal. And that's when it becomes wrong. That's when it becomes, you know, a sin. That's when you do it constantly, over and over and over again. And so we have to take that responsibility in our lives, within ourselves, within God, within Jesus Christ, whatever you use, Buddha, to overcome those negative acts or those negative choices or work or whatever we're doing. What we intake and decide to do in this lifetime is who we become. So, and it's okay to call the kettle black. So if a person is a cheater, it's okay to call them a cheater. If a person is a loyal person, it's okay to call them a cheater. It's not just the negative side, it's also the positive. That person is a hard worker. That person is a cheater. That person is lazy. That person is whatever. So on and so on. And But we have to be able and willing and receptive to to another person's input on who we are as a person, because sometimes we don't necessarily see that, which is that's okay, happens. We've all been there, I've been there, but that's that mental side. To take ourselves and place ourselves grounded in our bodies, to understand the people that we are, so that we can give the understanding and place ourselves in other shoes. If we don't understand our own shoes, then we cannot understand another person's shoes. And we will never fully understand another person's shoes because their feet are different. My shoes will feel different to another person and vice versa. So, but we can give that understanding because we all have knowledge. We all intake knowledge, whatever that may be. A lawyer, a tree climber, a logger, there's a perfect example. A tree climber and a logger. Same trade, same industry, same thing. Two completely different ballparks. A doctor, they're different. An accountant, a construction worker. Even within construction, you have the drywallers, the plumbers, the electricians, the framers, the roofers, the siders, the da-da-da-da-da, so on and so forth. Same trade, working on the same house, in the same location, doing completely different things, different kinds of knowledge. And so, different experience, different emotions. Well, not really, because the emotions are kind of all the same. It's just what emotion is going to be our main driving force. Mine has been anger. I've been angry for a lot of years. I started releasing that anger like 14 years ago, and I used to use it. It was my driving force. I'd get pissed, and I'd go out, and I would utilize it. And that's the weird part, is once that's gone, that emotion has disappeared, and we've come to terms with the life that we have been given and the experiences. That emotion kind of starts to dissipate, and it goes away. What is going to replace it? I've been trying to put joy in there to replace it. That's been my main driving force that I've been trying to replace my anger with, because I don't like it. I didn't like being angry. Now back to full circle. This individual inside of a society, the Bible says bad company corrupts good character. So where does our character come from? It comes from all of this: the knowledge, the experience, the emotions, and our understanding. The character also comes from this: our spirit, our essence, and our energy. Energy is a form of character in my eyes. Who we are as a person inside of the essence, what it is that we do. Who are we as an individual? What is our main driving force? For, like I said, for a lot of years, my essence was that anger. Your essence is part of your emotions. Your essence can be shaped by the experiences and the knowledge that we carry. Do we love ourselves? If we cannot fully love ourselves in the experiences that we have gathered in our lifetime and been given, well, that will not exist. And I don't use love as an emotion. It's not an emotion, because it's more of a practice. We got to practice love. We got to practice that. We got to allow it into our lives, because the opposite of love, and I've heard this, I don't know how many times from so many people, is the opposite of love is indifference. No, it's not, because if we are indifferent to the individual, then the love was absent, and it was never there to begin with, because indifference is just a lack or care of another individual. So if you're indifferent to that person, then you never truly loved them. There was no love to begin with, because love just doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear, because it's a practice. You have to practice love, right? And it may just start there, which is more of like a lust thing. You see somebody, You're immediately attracted to them. You like their personality, their body, their eyes, whatever it is that you're going to choose to tell yourself that that's love. But that's not love, that's lust. But you have to have that lust for that individual because there is something inside of them that intrigued you. Whether it is their knowledge, their experience, or their emotions, or the physical side of things, whatever. And the opposite of love is not indifference, it's going to be hatred. It is going to be hatred because there is still an emotional attachment to that person. You know, I don't see love as an emotion, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. And indifference is a lack of love or a lack of emotion and a lack of an emotional tie for that person. And when you love somebody, it just doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't dissipate. It doesn't just, here it is, now it's gone, yada yada. It will turn into a form of hatred. But once the hatred starts to set in, now you have to practice that indifference because you need to be rid of that hatred because it's a poison. It will eat people alive, just like love will. Love will eat people alive. I've watched it. I've experienced it myself. I've been attached to it. You know, like my mother, my birth mother. She wants nothing to do with me. She does not like me. She wants nothing to do with me. She thinks I'm a piece of shit. And her actions growing up were that way towards me. Didn't matter what I did, how hard I tried, how much effort I put in, you know, how good of a young man or child I was. It was always, you're not doing enough, or you're not good enough, or, you know, whatever it was that was going on inside of her and the way she was raised. So as we progress through this series that I'm trying to build, and hopefully more people see it, we'll explain more. We'll just keep delving deeper into the medicine wheel because this medicine wheel is just an individual. That's all it is. It's helping to understand ourselves so that we can be better present for those that we love and we choose to love. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I love you. Till next time.